This isn't the first time, and it's probably not going to be the last time, I call Reincarnated Aristocrat as a gold standard for Isekai writing. There's been specific episodes that truly have went above what you expect the genre to be able to pull off. And while there's definitely a lot of amazing Isekai out there, it's moments like especially Selena's father in this episode that take a show from that good or even amazing but into that next level category. And the best part about this show is that if it was just ours making decisions, it would probably fall down into the habit of being, well, pretty typical, because ours would just want to be nice, and either A, he would end up getting killed, or B, it would just work out because the author says it has to. But when you have a character like Selena's father, who, she had this very warped view of him going from this strong warrior who, he took care of business, he never bent the knee, now he's someone who looks down at his feet, doesn't look upwards, he's a coward, a pathetic, like what happened to the man she used to respect, only to come out of this whole situation realizing that actually, it's not weakness to bend the knee to protect those that you're appointed to protect. And it's very easy to write a scene like this and have it come out as just being like a good or okay scene. But the idea that this is a man who never really lost or changed, like who she saw was someone who, yes, went into battle, but the idea that he eventually bent the knee wasn't because of weakness or because he was pathetic, but because ultimately he had to for the benefit of his people. But when those people are telling him to suicide bomb himself and his people, not even giving, like he was okay blowing up the castle. But when you say he has to blow up his own people, that's where he says no. And that entire dynamic and having her open her eyes and realize that maybe it's not necessarily that he changed, but rather she just didn't know what strength actually looked like, is that type of writing that is the thing that really sold me about this show very quickly into season 1. Now, of course, I have those full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and good thought to any of these episodes. It's over there exclusively. So I love this show. I've loved it very quickly into season 1. And this show just knows how to write all the characters, and I think one of the biggest compliments you can give this show is that there's not a single retainer, a single member of Ars's personal team that is useless or undervalued, underutilized. Are there certain characters like Reitz or Charlotte who are going to get more attention than others? Sure, but they're more frontline fighters. It makes sense that that's going to happen. But the idea of our little boy over here, our little pal, he is the entire goddamn reason they ain't all dead right now. And it's like, they don't overemphasize that fact, but it's the fact that because of him working with Fam, and Fam discovering those bombs, like, yeah, was it a bit of a blunder to not mention the fact that, you destroyed a detonator, and, someone might have brought up the fact that, hey, what if there's another detonator? But the fact that because of Ars's retainers, and then working with someone like Fam, we end up in a situation where nothing negatively goes on. The idea that we have a boy like Ars, who's like, hey, times of war, Buddy's saying, Curran's just like, hey, we have to kill all of them, right? Like, we can't keep prisoners of war, they'll drain our resources, and ultimately they might try to stab us in the back. Most of them are pretty much ready to do so, like, yep, kill us, get it over with. Ars saying, no, they surrendered, right? And obviously if it was just Ars saying that, it would fall into the category of MC wants to be nice, but realistically you can't keep 10,000 prisoners, right? But the idea that it builds into the snowball effect of whoever will swear loyalty to us can come to our side, those who don't will then use them as prisoner of war exchanges, and then in return we use Fam sneaking in there in order to open the gate. Because the whole thing was that they kind of have an impenetrable fortress, that is unless someone opens the gate and they just run in. That whole dynamic is very well written, and it doesn't come across as convenient or friendship's magic, friendship saves the day. Like, yes, it stems from Ars being a genuinely good person, but at the end of the day, because he surrounds himself by brilliant minds, mature and revolutionary alike, we end up in a situation that wouldn't happen if it was just the Ars show or just the Curran show, right? And the idea that for his first battle, he did an impossible task. Was it simply because of him? No. But you have to also respect the leader who brings together all these people that wouldn't come together if it wasn't for his guidance and him being able to see potential that others can't. And by the end of the episode, we end up in a situation where he has a giant death flag now painted on his back. And that's because word has spread that Ars is someone to be reckoned with, someone who won his first battle against all odds, and that means we want to eliminate that before it becomes a major threat, because Something that easily should have been Curran's defeat ended up with Curran securing not only more allies, but more land and capital, and that is not good for the opposing side. Everything about this is just so good, and I love the way they write these scenes because it is so easy, and this show at face value could easily fall into the habit of letting things conveniently happen, but when you look at Selena's whole mannerisms and her way of thinking, yeah, it was very warped. What she thought was strength, you know, because the way she was talking about her dad before she saw him, I'm thinking he used to beat her ass, right? Like, he was an abusive piece of shit, but then this dude's just jolly and nice. I'm like, no, like, he very clearly values, and she's like, no, like, you should be upset that I'm not dead, and I'm like, where in the hell did she get such a twisted view? But then she starts realizing that in actuality, she's looking more like this douchebag who's telling us to blow everyone up, and that's what strength is, and ignoring the fact that what her father is doing, and maybe even what ours is saying, is actually what strength is. Yes, you have to be stern, yes, you have to take no shit, as seen by when they pull a sword. He never lost his touch, he could cut down a fool at a moment's notice. But that's just cruel, right? Like, you can't just rule with an iron fist, you have to also have compassion, because why would someone follow you if they think you're only gonna, you know, be nice to them if they listen? Because if not, you're gonna beat their ass, right? Like, the whole idea of her worldview being shattered and not just simply flipped because this boy offered her a kind hand, but rather she was able to use that as reference in combination with seeing her father is so much better than just ours switching her world. It can work, and some of the characters he's recruited over to the retainer side have done that, but it works so much better with how they wrote her father. And honestly, this is probably the best arc and best set of episodes between the last episode and this one that we've seen in this show today. I am loving this season so far. It just is getting better and better, and I really hope they confirm a season 3 when this is all said and done, because this show and world just has me craving more. It is so good. I know some people talk about is season 2 lesser visually than season 1. I still personally don't see it, but I'll take people's word that it's different. I like looking at it, even if, you know, sometimes it's not the most consistent show. The art direction's good, the animation's pretty solid, and, I mean, the voice actor's continuing to knock it out of the park, so I ain't really complaining too much. I like this. I think there's many moments in this show, and this episode was definitely one of them, that is an Isekai gold standard on how to handle writing that normally would either feel forced and pushed down our throats, but just felt so natural and so well written. Of course, if you're feeling so down below, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Hoster, David DTM, Josh Skinner, Shadow, Sophia Yao, Pat, we have Jonathan Shelting, and we also have Frozen. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you all have a good one.